Okay, this is Bryson DeChambeau, and I'm just going to do a quick swing evaluation here and point out some unique traits that definitely sets him apart from most of the players on tour. So first, all of his irons are the same length. When you go from 3-iron to pitching wedge, he's all measured those at the same length, which is definitely something rare. You don't see, hardly ever. I can't recall anyone that's went about it that way. Now, when you look at his grip, this is an extreme weak grip in the left hand. I mean, I can still see his left thumb. Most players are going to cover that with their right hand and the pad of their right hand. So he definitely holds the club, different than most people in his left hand. Now, as I draw this line up his club all the way up the left arm, you can see all of that is in a direct line. He's definitely putting a good amount of forward press on this club. I know it's a shorter club. It looks like it's about an 8-iron in loft, so it's not too odd, but yeah, that's quite a bit of forward press. So point out another thing here. When you look at his head, it's cocked off a little to the side. He's definitely looking more from his left eye point of view. That's kind of an old school trait with golfers like Bobby Jones and Jack Nicklaus, who had a little bit of head tilt there at address. Now, when he first starts back, you'll see his left knee really push down more than it goes inward. Again, that's something that's a little different than most people go about it. Now, at this moment, when he gets his arms parallel to the ground, go a little bit further, you can tell he hardly has any hinge on his wrist. So that's not really getting or swinging the club at all or trying to get much power from the hands, but I'll show you later on where he gets his power from, because when I was looking at TrackMan, his club head speed with his driver was 117 miles per hour, and that's about 4 or 5 miles per hour faster than the average player on tour. So he's definitely storing up power, just doing it in different ways. So his hip turn is very minimal. You can tell his belt buckle has just barely turned off the ball. At address, it was here. So he's made a very slight hip turn. But if you look at his upper body, I'd say he's a little past 90 degrees. So he's definitely turning his upper body against his lower body, which is a good way to store up power. Even though, in my opinion, it's harder to time a shot like that. But you can definitely get a lot of power stored by turning this against the lower. Now again, at the top, you can see his club's not even close to parallel or even in this zone of parallel. A shorter club's usually not going to reach that point with most players, but he's definitely, not even close to that line. Now, as he comes down is when you're going to start seeing his wrist and hands actually develop a hinge. So he actually down cocks the club. It reminds me of J.B. Holmes a little, where there's not a lot of set in the hands going back, but as he comes down, you'll start to see where the angle gets set with him. So now he's able to create some lag on the club and be able to get a little bit of speed in his hands. Also from the top, he does a good job here if you look at his left hip, letting his body slide just a little before the hands start falling down. This creates a good sequence as you're coming into the ball. Now as he gets into the hitting zone, so we'll pause him right about here. You can see his toe is a little up, which means his face is just slightly open here. To compensate for that, he's going to keep his head down a touch longer than most players. And one of the things that I found was a little odd is he's hitting through. If you watch his right foot and left foot, it's almost like they're in cement. I mean, his right foot doesn't give any at this moment. Most people are going to be leaning in a little bit on the inside right of that heel, and also starting to come off the heel a little bit so you can get to a finished position. But his right foot is still grounded, still grounded. The left foot's not giving out at any. But his hips are clearing well. You can definitely tell the club is still connected to him. It's pretty much dead in line with his chest here. So his body is turning well with the club, even though his feet are very quiet. Again, at this moment, it looks like he's still kind of just holding on to the club, even though the face itself is releasing. The club head itself is really not swinging. It's almost like he's kind of pushing the ball more. Now the right foot starts to come off a little, and now he's getting to his finished position. he's a really nice player. He just goes about it in a different way. He has a very physics, mathematical type of mind, and that's just the way he perceives things. So I think it's kind of cool when people can, bend the rules a little and still get great results and, get on tour just doing it a different way. So just wanted to go over some things that make him a unique player, but he's definitely a great player at the same time. Thank you now.